Oh, we have JR. See, we love live because that's what happens. Hey, bud.
What's up, dude?
We are live. We
We're
have
live.
our we have
We're
our guest. I
live,
told you. Yeah, we pop people right in.
dude. All right. I'm glad I got my shit together before then.
Ugh. That's the thing, man. That's what makes this show fun and interesting is we just say, you're good. We got this. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Having a big day for me today, as I mentioned when you offered this date. A little bit emotional this morning, but it's obviously a happy day, so I'm enjoying it.
I'm proud of you. It's an honor to know you. Congratulations on it.
Thank you.
I would love for you to share a little bit about like what is Shift Group? Why does
Yeah.
JR Butler do Shift Group and who is he?
Yeah, actually, today's anniversary has a lot to do with why I started the company. And for people being like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?" Today is 14 years sober for me, and the reason it's a little more emotional for me today is we lost my mom in the fall, so this is my first sobriety anniversary without her, and she's usually the first person that texts me. But kind of taking a step back, Shift Group. At high level, we help retiring athletes and military veterans transition to corporate roles. The reason I started the company is because of my own struggle in the transition. I grew up in central Massachusetts. My father is a Hall of Fame high school and junior hockey coach. I'm the oldest of three boys. We all played college hockey. So, I really did grow up in a hockey locker room. It was a huge part of who I was. It kind of guided every decision I made for about 24 years. When people ask me who I was, it was pretty easy to answer that question. I'm a hockey player. It defined my goals, defined how I spent my time. It gave me a lot. And then literally, I woke up one day and it was gone. like a not unlike losing a loved one that's in your life every single day. Um, and I didn't, like many people, I didn't have any tools to deal with that. I didn't, the system itself wasn't structured to prepare you for it. And for about 4 or 5 years, I really, really struggled. It led me, I was always a drinker, um, but I always had practice and games. So I might get blacked out on a Saturday night, but it was one night a week. And then hockey was gone. Started drinking a lot more. I got into some hard drugs, partially because I think it was in my nature to begin with, coming from a kind of a family of it. But also, dealing with that loss of identity, that loss of purpose, that loss, candidly, dude, of like feeling like an elite person, right? Like feeling like I woke up every day with a goal and a purpose to do something and a reason to be disciplined and a reason to kind of move forward through and do really hard shit. And then it was gone and I struggled. And like I said, it took me 4 or 5 years to get my shit together, to get some mentors to slap me across the face. And really, dude, it explained to me like, listen, what the thing that got you into a Division I locker room, JR, will get you into a boardroom if that's what you want. You just have to do the work. And I did the work. I ended up having a great 15-year, 16-year career in the technology industry as a salesperson and then mostly as a sales leader. Was part of a company build here in Boston from a Series A to a $2 billion acquisition. Was a chief revenue officer out in Scottsdale, which is where we met, Jeremy. And then I started Shift Group 4.5 years ago. And the second person I started the company for, first is JR at 24. Second is JR at 34 when I was trying to build a sales organization and, an executive and make hiring decisions. And I absolutely have always hated the traditional approach of like, hey, let's post a job. Let's get hundreds, if not thousands of resumes.
Yeah.
Let's look through these pieces of paper to decide which humans we want to spend time with. And then let's spend like 90 minutes with them over 2 weeks. And then let's make the biggest fucking bet we make as business leaders and hire them, and an entry level job, even at $50,000, $60,000 base salary and some commission, is still $150,000 to $200,000 bet when you talk about benefits, equity, the amount of training and development that's going to go into those people from much higher paid resources like a CRO, like a VP of sales, like any VP level. And when you look at the attrition rate of entry level jobs, it's, in sales, it's 40%. In other roles, it's 25 to 30. So obviously it's not working, right? And, that is the guy that I built Shift Group for as well, right? Like giving them something to use that is much better than a piece of paper to decide if somebody would be a good fit in their organization. Like I said, we've been around 4.5 years, Jeremy. We've placed over 3,000 athletes and veterans at 750 companies. We met in the very, very early days. Yeah, and it's been quite the ride. I got EY Entrepreneur of the Year finalist. We made the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing company list this year. We're certainly in a down cycle from a market perspective, and coming out of the summers are always brutal, even when we're ripping. But I'm still just as excited and just as bullish at the opportunity we have ahead. And the best part of my job, which is why I love what you're doing, Jeremy, is meeting these men and women who don't realize how much they bring to the table, and helping them communicate that, apply the mindset and the discipline they had as athletes and veterans to their careers, and see them be wildly successful. It's the best part of my job. And the fact that I get paid to do it instead of, this being a charity or something like that it's pretty awesome. The combination of mission and margin is unique, and I'm very, very lucky. And I'm psyched to talk to you more about it today, brother.
Open Athletes exists in large part due to the model that you have built with Shift Group. Athletes, while they're playing, have a very small window to be sought after.
Yes.
So in our perspective, how can we help somebody be an athlete and start a business, or think about starting a business, or building their network to set them up for success when they're done with their career? The transition out of playing is the most, as you faced and as I faced, the most critical and crucial experience that you're going to have as part of your entire athletic career. It's so hard. It's almost impossible to just say, I'm done, and now I'm going to do this. Very rarely do you hear any professional athlete, any college athlete say, I'm ready to do this. I'm excited to do this. It's usually, most of the time, their career is taken from them too quickly, and they're left out of balance. And so Shift Group exists because you bring that balance back and give them an opportunity to step into something in a period in their life where they're not prepared to do that.
Yeah.
Open Athletes exists because maybe there's something about the thing that they are doing and a problem that they want to solve long term. And can we turn solving that problem into something that can be sustaining for them? We're the Shift Group of starting a business.
I love it. I love it.
And so the success that you have had was motivating to me to say, I think there's an avenue to helping somebody start a business. And if they can't do it long term, or if the community that we build is just hey, that's not the right idea, can you pivot? Can you move? Or if someone's like, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'd love to find a job, having a Shift Group there, or vice versa, that is why having as many of us in the marketplace of things and ideas is the best, because an athlete now has opportunities that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
I agree. And by the way, I think, starting a business and failing is one of the best things that you can do in life. There's no job, there's no experience that you're going to learn more than trying to do that and failing. So I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. That's why, as you know, I'm a huge supporter and excited to help any way that I can with the folks that are in your community.
So how have you seen the types of athletes over the last, we'll say in your career, right? You've met athletes, you've worked with athletes before, you've been an athlete. Over the last 10, 15 years, how have you seen the type of athlete leaving their sport change in the type of personality or how ready they are for work? And then over the last 4 years, has that changed at all? Or is it just the constant progression of sort of a trend that you might have been seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think So I don't think the person who does it successfully, like I don't think that profile has really changed, right? I think what it comes down to, the people who do it well and are successful in the transition, they do the work to reset, in my opinion, three things that actually made them really elite as athletes. The number one thing that the people that do well in it do is they get really, really clear on what's important to them and what they want their life to look like. And like, this is short-term cycles because that's just the way careers work. Like, where do I want to be in 3 to 5 years? It's actually very similar to sports, right? Like when you're in high school, you picture yourself as a college athlete. When you're a college athlete, you picture yourself as a professional athlete, and you work your fucking bag off to get there. And the people who do that, have the conversations, expose themselves to what's possible in those first 5 years and what aligns with what they care about. Now, I'm not talking about specific industries, specific job titles. I'm not really, what it is like, what do I want my life to look like? Where do I want to live? What do I want to be making, like financially? What do I want my day-to-day look like? What's my flexibility? Like the things that a career affords you versus the career itself. Because where I see people fail, and this hasn't changed either, is they get advice about following their passion, right? We've all heard it, right? Follow your passion. We see it at graduation speeches and all these things. It is the worst advice that you can give to a young person, because I see it all the time, Jeremy, in our program. Probably for every 100 athletes that go through our program, I would say about 10% are folks that followed their passion. They went into teaching. A lot of them went into sports. They stayed in sports because that's their passion. And listen, my passion's still hockey. I fucking love hockey. But, what they haven't done is they haven't been thoughtful and realized, like, yeah, we see it very commonly in football. I want to work in football, and they go be football coaches. But what they really care about is earning potential and flexibility, right? And I'll tell you two things you don't get as a 24-year-old in the sports industry. You don't make shit, and you work like 60 to 80 hours a week, because the sports industry itself knows that I don't have to pay this person a lot of money because they're doing this because they love it, right? And you have to decide. The people who fail don't do the work to decide, like, is working in football more important to me than these criteria, right? And the people who do well focus on the criteria and then work backwards to the potential industries, the potential jobs, those types of things. And like, I'm a good example of that. I was a sociology major with a minor in art history and sign language. I entered the job market in June 2008, like a week after the U.S. lost like $1.2 trillion in GDP. And I wanted to go to law school because I thought, like, that's what lawyers make a lot of money, right? All I cared about, this is very normal and it's okay. Like, all I cared about was making a lot of money. I didn't come from a lot. I went to a couple schools that I was surrounded by a lot of wealth. I saw what financial freedom gets you and the things that you can enjoy when you make money. So that was my purpose. That's what drove me. But I didn't really appreciate that. And when I started the law school process, I had somebody that I had met who was like, JR, how much student loan debt do you have right now? I was like $110,000. He's like, okay, so you're gonna go study for the LSAT in Florida. You're probably gonna do well because you're a smart kid. You're gonna get into law school. You're not gonna get a scholarship because that's not a thing. And you're gonna pile on like another 6 figures in debt. Then you're gonna be an associate for 8 years. And then when you're a partner in your 30s, you can start making money and paying more than the interest off on your student loans. And I remember I was sitting in a bar in my hometown and I was like, he saw in my face, like he just killed my puppy. I was like, well, I never really thought of it that way. He's like, I know you didn't, but that's how it's going to be. And this guy happened to be the CEO of a tech company in my hometown. And he's like, listen, I want you to come work for me for a week. And if you like it, and if you do well and you listen to me, and you stick around, I promise you within 3 years, you'll be making $300,000 a year. And I remember I told him, I'm like, his name's Jamie. I'm like, Jamie, I've never owned a computer because I didn't, right? It's 2008. It was like, you could use the computer labs at college to write my sociology papers. And these guys sold like very complex technology to like the biggest companies in the world. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. But I went, I tried it. My third day, I went into his office. I'm like, I'm in. You know, I'd met all the other people that I'd be working with. They were all people I looked up to and admired just from meeting them quickly. And instead of making the decision based off my passion, I made it off my criteria and made an 18-year career out of it. Made a bunch of money, and like, guess what? It became my passion, right? Because it gave me what I wanted, and I don't think that is ever going to change. That being said, you asked like, what about the last 4 years? I would actually argue you know, even prior to NIL, I started to see a little bit of a change. And I think what's driving it is mainly social media. NIL is certainly not helping, but we're getting more and more folks that are less prepared for reality than ever before. Like you and I, Jeremy, we entered the job market with the complete understanding that we're going to eat shit for a couple years and earn our way to, like, you know, be a high earner.
I was already 25.
Yes,
yeah, I wasn't 22. I was 25 or 26.
Exactly, and I was too, because I'm a hockey player, so it's a little different. But the point being, like, they're like, dude, I'll give you a real life example. This just happened. We run group calls as folks sign up for our program. They can join these calls, and me, my team, we get to meet them. And I always like to ask the folks, like, hey, what's your expectation from like a salary perspective? And on Monday, this kid, came on and he was like, I don't know, like, I would say like $200,000 to $250,000. And I was like, you just got back from playing professional basketball in Europe. Have you done some like corporate experience that I don't know about? And he's like, that's not on your resume or your LinkedIn. He's like, no. I'm like, why do you think you're going to make $250,000? He's like, well, I made $450,000 my senior year. And then I've been making about 250 to 300 over in Europe playing basketball. And by the way, this kid is 26 years old. He's been through college. He has parents. He has friends who have parents and teammates who have parents. Nobody else has sat this person down and said, listen, you made $450,000 your senior year because you're 6'8". You probably have like a 4-foot vertical and you can run up and down the basketball court in like milliseconds. Is that fair? He's like, yeah. I'm like, guess how much value that is for a company? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you think a company would value that at? And he had no idea. I was like, $0. I'm like, similar major to me, like clearly has all the right intangibles. And if he learns how to tell his story and he gets bought into a career and he can explain why he's bought into a potential role, he's going to be really successful. But the delusion factor has risen significantly with young people in general. And we're seeing it with athletes for sure in a way that I've never seen it. And, old people will say like they're entitled and things like that. And listen, like if a kid comes out and they're entitled and they're delusional, that's not the kid's fault. They're 23, 24 years old. That is the adults that have been around them the last, 8 years of their life, not telling them the truth. And the adults themselves aren't incentivized to tell them the truth. What's a college going to say? Like, we're going to give you a $160,000 scholarship, a free education, and you should come to our school because it's going to lead to you being really successful in your career and making six figures. Of course the school's going to say that, but that's not true, dude, right? And I think with social media, they're hearing what they want to hear because that's how algorithms work. And they're seeing their peers, people their age, in beautiful cars, taking private jets on these wonderful vacations. And what they don't appreciate is that's like not guaranteed. And that even the person who does that earned it. They earned it in their way, being a content creator or whatever. But there's only so much room on social media for content creators. And in the real world, you get paid according to the business value you bring. And when you're 25, 24, 25 years old with no business experience, you bring no value other than what you're willing to grow into and work for. Yeah. And that's been the biggest change that I've seen over the last 4 to 8 years.
When these kids They're still kids, have no
They're-
work experience, making hundreds of thousands of dollars in NIL, know that that's not lasting or sustaining, have hopefully potentially overspent the money that they're given.
Yeah.
Maybe their agent or whoever has taken advantage of the fact that there's a huge windfall coming for a particular type of athlete.
Yep.
There's that gap, right? They're done at 22, or they're done at 26, or they're done at 38, or they're done at 28, or they're had a really amazing career and they're done at 32.
Yeah.
And if you have nothing on your resume to show for it for 10 years, that confidence that you have in yourself is, wow, I was a Major League Baseball player, I was a minor league baseball player for 10 years, and now I'm doing nothing. I have nothing to show for it other than whatever I have in the bank, if there's anything left at all. Yeah. You mentioned that your big break was because you were sitting with a CEO of a company that ended up hiring you.
Yes.
And what these athletes have is an opportunity to create their network and have that conversation with somebody, or to be introduced at a level that can't see the value in them.
100%.
How would you teach the athletes that we have that are listening, or the business leaders that we have that are listening and that read our newsletter, which I'll subscribe you to?
I'm on it.
How do athletes create that opportunity for themselves to be in the same room as decision makers that can find what they can be leveraged in?
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's an old saying, but it doesn't mean it's not true. It's not work, it's network. Like, you just have to go out while you're in uniform, while you have that brand equity,
yep.
and you need to meet as many fucking people as you can. And the way you need to approach those conversations, first and foremost, like, it's actually like you almost need to become a salesperson for that time in uniform, in the sense that, like, all right, here's the things I'm curious about. Here's my criteria for what I think someday I want to do, right? Just like a BDR would be like, all right, here's the type of companies we want to target. They need to be in this industry, have this pain and this recent news. Like, you need to build that criteria. Then you need to go out and go, okay, who fits into the list that, like from like an executive or like a professional business person, who fits into that criteria? Who's at organizations like that? Who's in careers like that? Who's in industries like that? And then you need to either reach out to the stranger and use your brand equity, because they'll probably say yes, mm-hmm. or use what you have, the college you went to, the sport that you play, your teammates, parents, and their connections. Like, obviously, as a sales professional, like, you need to leverage any way you can to get a stranger's attention. So use the hell out of those. Ask for 30 minutes. Hey, I'd love to meet with you. I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. This is why I reached out to you. It should be like 5 to 7 sentences, and they'll see who you are. They will meet with you, because nobody does this. Mm-hmm. And then when you go into that conversation, prepare. And dude, by the way, with AI now, like, you have no excuse not to be prepared and not to know everything you need to know, and have a list of questions that are open-ended. And then, like, my dad told me when I was like 16 years old, when he dropped me off to boarding school, he said, hey, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, act accordingly. Like, everything that comes out of your mouth in those conversations should be a question. You don't need to impress people. They're already impressed by you. I promise you. Mm-hmm. That is a fact. You have to remember that what you're trying to do in those conversations is learn. And if anybody's ever read Dale Carnegie's book, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, the way that you get people to like you is by asking about those people, not by talking about yourself, right? So going in with some authentic curiosity and really just trying to learn. And then at the end, asking like, hey, this was awesome. I learned so much. Here's the follow-up. Do you have anyone else you think I should talk to? Turn that meeting into 3 meetings. And you can do that while you're a college athlete. I mean, college athlete's tough. You're very busy schedule, but you can make time to do like 1 or 2 of those a month. When you're a professional athlete, as you know, Jeremy, like, you got a lot of fucking time, right? Like, my brother played 16 and a half years of pro hockey. Mm-hmm. When he was thinking about retiring, I remember sitting with him, and he was asking me about business, and I was showing him my schedule. Yeah. You're gonna laugh at this. And he's looking at my calendar, and he's like, JR, when do you take a nap? And I was like, I'm like, Bob, I'm 36 years old, dude. I don't take a nap. And it was like, he was horrified by that idea that like, oh, you're not allowed to take a nap when you're in the business world. I was like, no more naps, buddy. But the point there is like professional athletes more than anybody have the time to do this. And I think they should be aiming for like at least one conversation a week, ideally more. You do that for a few years.
Yeah.
Like the future is going to shape itself for you. You're going to figure it out. You're going to get really clear. You're going to have a network to activate whatever you decide you want to do. Like that is like the biggest unlock that these folks have, whether that's starting a business, getting into an industry, whatever they want to do. If they do that, I guarantee they're going to be successful.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned like what a professional athlete did. So my wife and I watched Heated Rivalry. We all love it. Okay. And she goes, "What's realistic from this?" And I was like, obviously the kissing. But I really said to her, it's how boring it is between games. That's really what being a professional athlete is. I was never doing photo shoots or doing sponsorships or whatever, but like you play the game and then you do nothing and then you go to sleep and then you wake up and then you do nothing and then you prepare for the game and then you do it again and you would do that for years. Yes. And she was like, "Oh, that actually like I get it now. I get why it's like this."
Yeah.
As when I started More Than Baseball, our viewers know.
Amazing.
I talk about it till I'm blue in the face. There's so many different perspectives to it. There's policy. There's the labor component. What's most interesting to me and where we connected was when you get done playing, that identity that you have is gone. And as we talk about what network can you build, you can build that network because you have access to that room. What Open Athletes is trying to do is saying, you're a current athlete or you're a former athlete and you can create opportunities to build your own room, to get into rooms that you might not have had otherwise. And how do you do that? What do you say? What do you do? Is it following your passion? Do I want to build a product or build something that's following my passion? Well, what problem are you trying to solve?
Yes.
I tell our athletes, follow what you're good at.
Yes.
You have to, and the money will come. I'm good at insurance. My day job is health insurance. I'm very good at insurance. Is health insurance my passion? It has become something that interests me very much. And the work that I put in to be very good at my job, including this.
Yeah.
You can't see our live feed, but we have all these graphics and we got all these things and the sound effects and whatever. It's because that's what interests me and I'm good at this.
You are.
What skills have you seen these athletes come in with? We talked about creating a network. We talked about athletes might think they're overvalued. What trends are you seeing in the skills that athletes are coming in with that if they're a professional athlete watching now or they're a college athlete watching now that they should hone to get that job when they're done playing? Is it their voice? Is it being able to articulate? I'm sure it's a mixture of all of these things, but you work with these athletes and I'm sure there are things that you pick up where you're like, that could be improved. And where are these kids coming in very raw?
Yeah, I think in kind of three buckets. There's intangible characteristics that you develop in uniform. That's like the discipline, the competitiveness, the team first attitude. Like those aren't really skills. Those are things that get shaped through experience. Those are important, by the way. And that's why our company does really well. Like when somebody agrees to take a meeting with us, it's because they understand that, right? The second thing is mindset. And I kind of didn't finish my thought. The mindset, I talked about clarity of what you want. The other thing is clarity of self, and which is what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Starting when we're in sports, we live in a feedback loop, Jeremy, that we don't really appreciate. People call it structure, people call it whatever. At the end of the day, when you play baseball at the level you did and you suck at something, guess what you know very well? You know what you suck at because you either see the outcome or your leadership, your coach, your teammates, they tell you like, Jeremy, you need to learn how to hit a fucking curveball, dude. Like, this is not good.
Curveball bats are afraid.
Yes, exactly. So clarity of vision, clarity of self, and then clarity of the playbook, which is like, that's the skill side, right? And what I'm seeing right now from a skill perspective that I don't think these young people really appreciate is, dude, I'm 41, almost 42 years old. When the iPhone came out, I was like 22 years old, right? Like I had to learn it. I didn't grow up with it. And sometimes I feel like my wife's younger than me, and like I can't figure shit out on my phone. and we're not like, it's not 20-year difference. It's like a 7 or 8 year difference. Like, she's better on the phone than I am just because of those 8 years. These folks are digitally native, and that is so critical for the future, and they have to lean into it because, and I'm sure you're seeing this in your industry, Jeremy, and people absolutely are like, they fall into 2 buckets. AI is going to change the world forever, or AI is just a hype cycle and whatever, it's going to go away. Guess what? The people in this bucket are very, very, very wrong, and they need to use it. And then they might have like the holy shit moment that I have like 10 times a day where I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe it just did that. This is wild. So because of that, the way the professional world is changing, and I'm talking about the laptop class. I'm not talking about like construction, the trades, first responders. I'm talking about what you and I do and what, 100% of the corporate world looks like. If you do a lot of your job between a computer screen and a computer chair, your job is going to look different in like 2 years, not like 20 years. Like, this shit is happening very fast. We're in the top of the first inning, and it's getting better every single day. So there's going to be 3 things you get judged on: your ability to critically think and have ideas. That's number 1. That's a skill that's hard to practice, but like, I think young people have that, and they have the ability to be creative and have good ideas and critically think. The second thing is your ability to communicate, which athletes should be really good at, especially team sport athletes. Your ability to be in a room and have the emotional intelligence to understand how someone else is feeling and understand what somebody else wants and give them guidance and communication so that it aligns with what they want and they do what you want them to do, right? So communication and everything that comes with communication, which really is your ability to influence other people. And that I would say that's both verbally and I think still written. Like, even though AI is scaring the shit out of me right now with like, I have it right. My follow-up emails, Jeremy, and I'm from Boston. I say brother a lot. It puts brother exactly where I would put brother. And I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. But I think still like verbal and written communication is going to be really important. And then the third thing, and this is where they have a immense advantage. Young people have an immense advantage over the rest of the market, which is your ability to use technology. In this case, obviously AI. Like, if you know how to put on the Iron Man suit that exists now and is going to continue to get better and better and use it to be stronger, smarter, and faster at what you do than your peers, especially the senior peers that you have, you're going to be an absolute weapon in whatever you decide to do. Like, and I think that bucket specifically is something they come in to our program already having the advantage of. I think the first 2 are things that you need to work on a little bit, but they're things that you can work on. But I think that's the future. That's how every intelligence and specialization, when it comes to information, fully commoditized. Nobody cares. Like, if you know how to use Excel, dude, sweet. Give me your Excel sheet. I'll make a better one in
That's right.
4 fucking minutes. Like, guaranteed. I did it yesterday to my COO, and he's like, how did you do this? And I was like, dude. And I showed him my prompt. I just talked to Claude for like, on the microphone for like 10 minutes, and then it produced it. And he's like, oh my God, I'm screwed.
I would say there's a 4th component to that too.
Yeah, let's hear it.
When everybody has access to all of these tools, it levels everybody up to be, instead of who can do this, it's now everybody can do this. The thing that can separate is taste.
Yes.
It's the ability to say, the thing that I can create is better for these reasons. The thing that I can see and adjust to, I can understand what looks good and what doesn't, because I understand taste and I know what can be better. I know what looks better. I know how to articulate that.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. And I bucket that into like critical thinking and ideas. And you know what I call it, Jeremy, is I call it like dissension, like going against the grain, right? Because when you think about the way AI is built, like general consensus along with intelligence is commoditized. So if you just agree with what everybody else agrees with, then okay. Yeah. So then that's fine. But to your point, taste and disagreement and your ability to like go down the right path with those things, you're bang on 100%.
and I appreciate you being here. This has been a lot of fun. I know you wanted longer than 15 minutes, so I'm happy that we're able to go further. I think as like our audience watches this conversation, and we're going to keep it in our resourcing, like this is like having these conversations is really important because we can take so the things that we talk about in like sports, business, policy, labor, and actually like implement these things.
Yeah.
Not every athlete is going to want to start a business or knows how or can be in the room with us to like have those conversations to learn as part of like the cohorts that we build.
Yeah.
But what they're hearing a lot of the times is, okay, they're an athlete and they're valuable. And I think through a conversation like this or participating in these programs, you can see where that value is.
Yep.
What they're also hearing is that it's the worst time ever to be young and looking for a job. And AI is taking all of the entry-level jobs. But you're someone who sits in between this. You're someone who works with young people trying to get work, like serious work, like career work.
Yep.
And you're working with these companies that are trying to find people who have a leg up from the competition, the competition of other participants. Totally. What are you seeing from companies as it pertains to how they're hiring?
Yeah.
Is it as doomer as it seems about entry-level jobs? Is there a component to that, or is it something different?
No, I think it's legit. I think, I mean, we see, so we obviously being around for the length of time we have a lot of loyal customers. And these are not small companies. These are like venture-backed or private equity-owned technology companies that have been growing over the last 4.5 years. And what we're seeing is the company that consistently hired 15 people from us every quarter is hiring 3 to 5. And when I have the conversation with the executive and I ask why, what is this, the economy? You guys are still ripping. I see the numbers. Is what's going on? And they're like, well, JR, the job that used to take 40 hours a week only takes 15 hours a week. So I don't need 15 people to do it. I need 5 people to do it or 3 people to do it. So I do think the reality, and it's a hard thing to hear, the reality is in certain professions, there are going to be less opportunity in those professions. Like any technology, like the internet and computers and everything, it's going to create new opportunities too. But I think this is a weird technology in the sense that like it's not gonna balance out. You know what I'm saying? Like I think there's gonna be a gap from like where we were 2 years ago and going into the future. And I'm talking specifically about corporate laptop class roles, right? I think there's going to be a lot of other opportunity outside of that. We don't play in that space though. What they're looking for is the intangibles, right? Super important because all the boomers think that this, like every generation before them, they think this generation's entitled and delusional, and they're testing more on the intangibles than I've ever seen.
Oh, I'm a millennial. I know.
Same.
I've been there.
Same here. They are certainly like, they have a higher bar when it comes to like, again, your ability to communicate. And every single company that we work with, 750 plus companies, is now testing in the interview process how you used AI in whether that was in college or your past role, and how you would apply AI based off what you know about the job description.
Wow.
So that's the thing these folks have to prepare to be able to tell stories about why they're disciplined, why they're resilient, all the things that companies care about. And by being able to tell stories, they show that they can communicate, and then they have to have a good story around their AI usage and AI expertise. That's where we're headed.
If you were an athlete right now, 24 years old, playing professional sports, America or overseas, you're alone trying to seek NIL deals if you're in college. You're in this class of athletes that we know that we're very familiar with. We were these athletes. We didn't have the ability to like have NIL or use social media in that way. But what is the one thing that you hope they take away from a conversation with you or our conversation today?
Go talk to people and ask questions. That's it. Just talk to people and ask questions. 100. That would be all. If I could go back, that's exactly what I would do, man. I would just go get meetings and ask questions to people. Because again, you got to get those first two things. You got to get clarity of vision, and you got to get clarity of self. And then the way you're going to get clarity of the playbook to close the gap between where you are today and where you want to get to is by asking questions. Okay, now I've had 15 conversations. Now I know I want to do this. All right, now I got to go have 15 more conversations with people that have done this successfully and ask them how they got from here to there. And that's the playbook. And now you build your own playbook. Just go have conversations and ask questions. It's the only thing you should be doing.
And sometimes I'm preaching to maybe the choir, but I'm also like talking to specifically to the athlete that I was.
Yeah.
Is you don't have to ask for something. You can ask for the meeting or ask for the time. But the best relationships that I've built in my life are because I connected with them through my curiosity. The reason we connected was because I was running More Than Baseball, you were starting Shift Group, and there was an opportunity to like partner and coexist. And that is like the relationship building like in itself, is because now we're 5 years later and we still have the ability to connect and communicate. And maybe there's an opportunity for me to help you or you to help me. Exactly. That's how like tangibly this could work. This is the playbook that I have set up for myself to continue these relationships and building this community that hopefully can help athletes in the same way that you're helping athletes. So that's my model.
Exactly. And last thing I'll say is like read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like before you go into these conversations, it is really easy to get people to like you, dude. You just have to make it about them. That's it.
Yeah, they don't care about you. I mentioned before on the show, they care about what you can do for them.
Yes.
They care about the energy that you can give them, how different you are. You can get them to care about the thing that you can also care about. But just like when you're in uniform and you're signing an autograph, they care about the uniform. They don't care about the body that is holding the uniform. And 100%. You can separate yourself from being, like I was, hurt when my career ended, because Jeremy was the baseball player that got injured, got released, had nothing to do, had nothing.
Yep.
The ability to understand that this is your job and that it's going to end, and the work that you can do to set yourself up for your career after, while it might seem harsh, shouldn't you focus 100% of your time and energy and your personhood on being a professional athlete? I would say the separation of that and learning how to separate yourself from the potential to be hurt or injured personally, 100%. Emotionally, it can actually be helpful as you transition out of playing, because you say that part of my life is over and I've done the work to know what can set me up after, rather than being done and having done none of the preparation for that.
Yeah, 100%. I love it, dude. I love it.
See, 8:45, 11:45 for you. See, we're right on time. This show is tight. It's right on schedule all the time.
You're a stud.
This has been a tremendous amount of fun. Where can people find you if they're athletes that are interested in working with Shift Group? What does that process look like? How can they apply?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn. That's really my only social media. And then for Shift Group, shiftgroup.io, just say you're a candidate, hit the button, and just run with it. And you'll get access directly to me.
Amazing. JR, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm so proud of the work that you are doing, that you have continued to do, and I'm excited for what's next for us.
All right, buddy. Thank
you, buddy. See ya.
Bye.
I think I have the best job in sports. It's created a space to have conversations about the things that are happening in sport, the value that sports brings, the value that sports provides. For audiences, it's entertainment. For an athlete that's listening, that's thinking about what's next, preparing for what's next, or even not, you can have fun, do things, try to make money with the leverage and opportunity that you have. Well, not thinking about what's next. You can think about it while thinking about what's now. So Open Athletes exists because you might want to start a business. We'll help you start that business. We'll help you file the LLC. We'll help you open the bank accounts. We'll help you do all of those things. JR says, prepare yourself for that inevitability that career is going to be over. We're not all going to be Luke Kuechly, where all of these organizations are going to come want us to be full-time announcers. Maybe there's a local channel near you that is looking for an announcer, or maybe you go do some ESPN Plus, whatever it might be. Maybe that's your passion. Sure, like follow that passion. But what we're saying is like very specific. Even if you're a college athlete, even if you're a high school athlete and you're like, I might play in college, I might not. I really want to be in sports. Like you can take the initiative to like do things now that separates you from the non-athletes or the athletes that aren't doing anything and assume that they can get it. And even if you take that first step, most people don't. So I had like a 16-year-old kid reach out to me. Like nice kid, wants to build AI tooling for sports agencies, which I think is like really interesting. How can you make the process of being a sports agent, helping people access like different NIL opportunities more efficient? How can you build this community, this marketplace of opportunities, we'll say? And he wants to seek funding, and he's like, we're doing a pre-seed round. I'm like, you're 16. You don't need to do that. Don't owe anybody money. Just go out and do it. Go out and build the thing. Go do if you're lucky enough to do a paid trial, like a paid pilot, do a paid pilot, but build it for free and create opportunities and create leverage. Because if you do it for 4 years, if you even do it for 2 years, having the ability to like build something that somebody wants and that has a customer or multiple or several, or you're able to actually make money, then what's the point of going to college? Now, this is not a anti-college show. College has its merits, sure, but also there's opportunities for you to go to college later if you want to or whatever. But if you're 16 and you're like, I know what I want to do and I'm building my path to do that, just like JR said, there's a path from point A to point B. The path from point A to point B for me was when I got done playing, I said, wow, I have nothing left. Should I sue? I was fired while on workers' comp. I realized I couldn't because we legally couldn't. And that was the catalyst was, I have to solve this problem. I need to build protection for minor league baseball players. Like that was the thing that I needed to do. And I did it. And then I was 26 when I got done doing that. And then I was done. But I used those 4 years of building something, 22 to 26, qualifying for the Olympics, doing all these things, to say to the job that I was applying to, because I needed that foundation. I wasn't jumping into something else that I had built. I built a nonprofit. You could understand how not lucrative that was. And me as the person just needed the foundation. I was lucky enough to be able to leverage the fact that I built this. Me and an amazing team, like built this organization, and it solved this problem, and that separated me from the competition that was being hired to work at this insurance company. It's not the sexiest thing in the world, but the thing that I needed to do, because I was 4 years behind everybody else, I needed to build something. And the athletes have the same thing. And the 16-year-old kid, he is a smart kid doing the right things, reaching out to people who have built or are building things in sport for feedback. But does that feedback have the direction at all? Is it just, I'm talking to you? Or is it, I'm talking to you to help me solve this problem, help me think through this problem from your perspective? And can we stay in touch? And maybe I don't reach out for 6 years, but I have this contact, and I can reach out to that contact eventually, or keep that contact warm, because I might need it eventually, or I might need to ask a question, or that's what all of this is for. And so good on this 16-year-old kid for doing it. And maybe the doors open up for him where he's like, I can follow this passion, or I could build other things, or I could do other things, because the ability to do it has leveled up to now anybody can do anything. You and me have the same tools. Okay. How do we make sure that the thing that we built is the best that it can be? And can we go a step further and saying, does it actually work? JR and I can have the same technology to be able to build an app that solves this problem. But is he patient enough to learn how all of it can work to create something real? I'm not saying JR in particular, but everybody has like access to these same tools. Can he create something that he can sell? Or is it just something that solves a particular problem that day? and the particular problem, if we can both solve the same problem with the same technology, what makes his thing better than my thing? And so the prevalence and use of AI is obviously something that we have to talk about, because part of our job is to say, well, what are the things happening in sports between the intersection of business, policy, politics, finances, but also for that individual athlete saying, I think I can solve this problem in this, and so can that athlete, and so can that person. What separates you is your ability to create something that actually solves a problem, and knowing how to ask the right questions to know if you're on the right track. And as you start to gain that momentum, are you able to have a community that supports you, that helps you find those holes? And are you able to understand in yourself, like, you are capable of learning the tools and the way that the tools are changing to improve the thing that you are doing? And so if you have an engineer, that takes away your need to know how to engineer. However, if you're a founder starting a company and you're like, I'm the voice, I know how to sell it, I know how to market it, I know the vision, I see it, and you don't know how your product works at all, that's separating you from the founder who's building something, who is non-technical, who can learn every single day how to build something. AI allows you to be more well-rounded, but everybody has the same tools. Same with finding a job in sports. JR is doing an amazing job helping athletes transition from playing the worst time in their life, they're done playing, they have no identity, into something that gives them that identity again. It's that gap, right? JR lives in this gap. He talks to athletes and thinks about it every single day, this gap, from when they're done playing to when they get a job. And he knows how to speak that language. And what I'm saying is, you can put in the work while you're playing to set yourself up for success after you're done, rather than just cutting a cold turkey and saying, I'm done, I need a job. It's, what work can we consistently do? What network can we build? Why can you build it? You're in that window, that very small window that athletes only have for a short period of time. Not 17 years like Jay Jackson yesterday. Not 20 years like LeBron. Mine was 2 with the Mets and 3 with Team Israel, qualifying for the Olympics. So 5, but mostly 2. 2. If you play 6 years in the minors with the Pirates, 6. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much here. This shows many things. This conversation that we're having is many things. What I ultimately want you to get out of it is, there's an opportunity for you to solve problems and set yourself up for success. And we're going to continue to talk about that as we keep going. This show, we're going to have this part of the show be presented by MindReady. When I got done doing More Than Baseball, I was still hungry to build something, and MindReady was that thing that I wanted to solve. Organizations and teams and coaches and athletes are not prepared for the things that happen to them on the field, the mental health programming and coaching that they don't know what to do with. And yes, there might be a mental health practitioner, but one coach for 190, 250, 300 athletes at different organizations is not sufficient enough. So what MindReady does is it just makes sure that organizations have the things that they need to set them up for success as it pertains to, like, the mental health of the athletes and the preparation for this as an organization. And we have coaches that can help work with your coaches. We have coaches that can help work with your athletic department. It's a resource. And it's been a lot of fun to build, because that's a problem I'm really passionate about. I'm passionate about all these problems. All of these companies you see on the bottom are companies that I've started to solve very particular problems. I'm very good at starting something. I'm very good at building an idea for something. You could look at the links to these in the show notes. I am not good at finding customers. I am good at, once somebody is in the room, I can sell them on the idea. I can show them that the thing that they are doing is inefficient, and I can solve their problems, etc., etc. What I am not good at is getting those people to see my website and say, I need that. I'm good at talking to people and poking through their conversation and saying, oh, you could use this. I can solve this problem for you. Getting people into the room with me, that's really hard. Why does Open Athletes exist? So that I can help athletes go from 0 to 1, build something, go from 2 to 100, get customers, make sure those customers have the best experience they possibly can. It's that 1 to 2. It's telling the world this is the thing that I'm solving for. This is why we're going to have mentors on. This is why we're going to hold our athletes that are building something accountable. And I get to learn along the way about all that. So, if I'm doing this for any reason, it's because like this is what interests me. Right now, I might do it forever. I fucking love it. I might do it for 10 years. I'm going to commit myself to doing it for at least 10 years. Talking to camera every single day for 10 years. I'm no longer nervous. I'm practicing public speaking. There could be 5 people out there listening, or 10, or 100, or 1,000. I have no idea. I cannot see. But I know that I get to practice this conversation every single day.